What are you working on now?
I have just finished the sequel to Cottonmouth. Don't tell anybody; it's still a secret. But the that is now at the with the agent, and he's going to review it and let me know if I came close to what I did before, if it was in the same vein, or if I need to rework it. But just finished that sequel. I went back and switched hats and became Scott Bell for a little while, and now I'm working on one of the series that I wrote under that name.
Mhm.
And I have, I'm the writer equivalent of a dog chasing a squirrel. Every time the squirrel runs across my path, I will want to follow it to find out where it goes. So, that's why I write so many weird different things. Right now I have in the process is a military science fiction novel that I've been working on about future. Uh, I'll give you a quickie. Two colony spaceships leave the Earth at the same time, roughly. Due to time dilation, one arrives at the planet that they were searching for early, like 400 years in the future from the other one. And so the way that society that landed first has evolved, and by the time the other ship lands, is the crux of the story. So it's an interesting thing, but has Space Marines and a lot of blowing up. So I'm happy. That makes my Pulp Fiction part happy too.
Yeah, fascinating because the book that I have coming out in September is just the opposite. It's about first contact coming this direction,
Okay, there you go.
and it takes a composite group, which you love to write about,
Hmm.
and trying to sort out what the message is because there is no way to unlock this message in the beginning. And instead of bringing world peace, which first contact is thought to bring,
Yep, we hope.
instead
Yeah.
it instead it brings tremendous amount of conflict because the technology is so advanced that every nation in the world is trying to get their hands on the technology that arrives, even though they haven't unlocked what it means yet. So
Yep.
um, I love the idea of combining the current and the future. And there are a number of people doing it. I'm looking forward to reading your book.
Yeah. It's interesting that there are two what trains of thought, I guess is the way to say it, but there are two camps within the speculative fiction world, right? The one is the optimistic camp that we'll figure it out and we won't kill each other and blow ourselves up. And the other camp is that we're going to wind up with this apocalyptic wasteland that we're all having to struggle through. So it's an interesting uh, theme to explore. Which is it going to be? Which are we going to figure it out and learn how not to kill each other? Or are we going to wind up roving the planet that's left with nothing but dust, right?
And of course, the assumption there is that whatever that contact, the original contact is, um, there's the fascinating thing when I sat down to write this book is I really struggled to figure out, am I bringing conflict with the first contact, or is the conflict going to occur because of the first contact? And
Hmm.
um, I don't, frankly, as I said, as a political scientist,
Hmm.
I don't think we're sophisticated enough to even sort through that yet. I think it's going to be. I'm looking forward to that first contact. If I know it won't happen in my lifetime, but I wish it would because I would
Uh,
really love to see what would happen.
According to some, it's already happened. We just don't know about it.
Well, yeah, well, like I said, I'm a political scientist as well. Okay,
Yeah.
I know an awful lot about those kinds of people and spent a lot of time with them.
Yep. There, I hear you. Let me
Yeah.
ask you a question while we're on the
Uh-huh.
subject. You talked about historical fiction.
Mhm.
Um, it's something that I've found sort of daunting when I look at the possibility of doing that. How much research do you have to do in order to create that world and or recreate the world, whichever it might be, that to sort of informs your story and allows for that level of accuracy that we all strive for?
Um, it depends on the story, but
Hmm.
the the book, this book that's just coming out is called Robber Barons,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
that book is literally about the robber barons and their very early years in Alaska, which was really
Hmm.
late in the rest of the country.
Okay.
And the concept from the book came from a lot of political work that I've done here in the state.
Hmm.
But from the time that I did my first outline and my character, identify my 5 key characters in the book, I probably spent 2.5 straight months doing research before I wrote the first word.
Okay.
And I try to write 2 books a year. One out of my thriller series called the Team Walker series, which
Hmm.
also is a misfit team. Um, no superheroes in it,
Thank God.
and and but the historical fiction probably of the 40 weeks full time that I write every year, I probably write 25 weeks on the historical fiction to get 1 book and 15 to do the thrillers.
Right. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Makes sense. It's yeah, it's something that I like to be accurate. So, the research part is important. And if I don't know something, then I try my best to find out. So that's interesting that the level of effort that it takes, I think, for historical fiction to be accurate is probably much greater than I would think for just a regular, everyday fiction book that we write about the modern times.
Jay, I don't know if it's important that it's more accurate, but
Hmm.
the criticism is stronger. Uh,
True.
Everybody out there who reads it thinks they know more about the history. One of the great examples that I've got is a woman who I really like her work. She hasn't sold a lot of books, but she does really good work.
Hmm.
I won't mention her name because I don't have permission, but she wrote a book set in England in the early 1800s. And in the
Hmm.
book, she talked about conflict over coffee, of all things, coffee. And she was just inundated with criticism for putting that into the book because, of course, the English drink tea, they don't drink coffee. And at the time, the English were importing 50,000 tons of coffee a year already.
Yep.
But the beating that you take if you're off, just or even if they think you're off.
Mhm.
But the other side of that is, it kind of makes you proud that they're at least reading the book to that level that they can criticize it. I mean, that's how I
Yeah.
have to deal with it.
Yeah,
And
well,
it
critics are their own little animal. We could probably talk about some of the criticisms that are justified or not justified, but yeah, you're right. If you get something wrong, man, it's odds on you'll hear about it.
well the
Or
one
not necessarily, I'm sorry, not necessarily wrong, but if you get something that somebody thinks is wrong, you'll certainly hear about it.
my friend Bob Dugani from Seattle
Hmm.
was the first person that ever said this to me, and I've heard it a couple of times. The good thing about a critic is they're also a reader.
Yeah,
So
point. Yeah,
you
fair point.
know, every single one of those people has had to read the book. So yeah,
Fair point. Unless they're on Goodreads when they can just review
uh,
without having read it. But yes.
that's true.